Therefore, tonight we pray for our mayor, for the various levels of city officials, and in particular for this assembled council. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people. Grant them a keen thirst for justice and rightness, and confidence in what is good and fitting. Lord, we ask that tonight we will especially honor and pray for our first responders as they've been recognized and challenged. Assure them of our appreciation and support. In all things, may God be blessed as we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much, Chaplain, not only for that prayer, but for the service that you give to our fire department, to the city. Very much appreciated. Madam Clerk, if you please call the roll. Here.
Here.
Here. And all are accounted and present. Are there any conflict of interest declarations from any members of the council regarding an item on the agenda this evening? Okay. We do have one special presentation. We'd like to recognize the Benevolent and Protective Order of the Elks, and we have several other members here this evening, so we're glad to have you here for this. So I will read this and then invite one of you I know that wanted to stand up to come and kind of speak, so if you give you a few minutes afterwards to come and talk on that. So this is a proclamation in regards to Youth Week. So this says, whereas the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks is designated May 1st through May 7th as Youth Week to honor America's junior citizens for their accomplishment and to give fitting recognition of their services to the community, state, and nation. And whereas Caldwell Elks Lodge number 1448 will sponsor an observance during that week and tribute to the junior citizens of this community. And whereas no event could be more deserving of our support and participation than one dedicated to these young people who represent the nation's greatest resource, and who in the years ahead will assume the responsibility for the advancement of our free society. And whereas our youth need the guidance, inspiration, and encouragement which we alone can give in order to help develop those qualities of character essential for future leadership, and go forth to serve America. And whereas to achieve this worthy objective, we should demonstrate our partnership with youth, our understanding of their hopes and aspirations, and a sincere willingness to help prepare them in every way for the responsibilities and opportunities of citizenship. Now therefore, I, Jared Wagner, Mayor of the City of Caldwell, do hereby proclaim the first week in May as Youth Week, and urge all departments of government, civic, fraternal, and patriotic groups, and our citizens generally to participate wholeheartedly in its observance. So we're excited to do that. So if you please come forward and just tell us who you are, kind of maybe the role that you have in the Elks, and a few minutes is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. My name is Larry Haborka. I am the Exalted Ruler of Caldwell Elks Lodge, number 1448. And on behalf of the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks, we thank you for the proclamation for Youth Week. And in appreciation of that, I have 3 certificates that I would like to present. One is a certificate of honor for flying the flag of the United States properly. However, it's more about the things that we do. And this is for City Hall, and we appreciate all that you do for Caldwell community. The second one, and I would like to present that to Fire Chief, if I could.
Yes, definitely. Chief, you please come forward.
Certificate of honor. Thank you. And the third one is for the Caldwell Police Department for the same honor of the United States, but it's more the appreciation of all the things that you do. I approach?
Yes, please. We'll trade. How's that? Thank you very much. Yes, you too, Yeah, sounds great. We like that, so we appreciate that very much. So now we'll pick that up in City Hall.
In closing, thank you very much. I appreciate all your time.
Well, thank you for being here. We really appreciate all of you. Do you mind just introducing real quick the other four that are here with you? Or five?
With me tonight, my lecturing night is Laura Connors. Next to her is trustee Mike Connors. Next to him is our chairman of trustees, Charlie Caddy. And this is my inner guard, Butch Clancy.
Very good. Excellent. One other snuck in right there.
And this is a past ER and band exalted ruler and sister. Ben Benny.
Excellent. So it's great to have you, Denise. Very good. Well, thank you again. Very much appreciate that, and very fitting to honor our youth, and that proclamation said it so well. It really is our most important resource. You don't think about that. That's our hands. The future is in their hands. So thank you again for bringing that to our attention. We're grateful to honor you and all the youth in the community. So thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Okay. Very good. So we do have one person signed up for anticipation. That does conclude our special presentation. That would be Scott. I think it's Tillman. If you'll please come forward, and if you could just state your name for the record, we'd appreciate that. Then you'll have 2 minutes for your audience participation.
Scott Tillman, 4520 Equinox Avenue, Caldwell, 1867. Mr. Mayor, Council, came to my attention last Saturday. It was kind of concerning with the rugged expo. Happened to be down there, just was hanging out, watched 3 people with their pets get ejected. At that time, they had no clue. I had no clue. I happen to head my HOA. 50% of our household have pets, and they pretty much all go everywhere with them. Right before I had come here, I was at the farmer's market in Caldwell, or in Tampa. Never had a problem. Haven't had a problem for years down there with our pets. It was more of a concern. I wanted to bring it up. I had talked to councilman about it. It really pissed off a couple of people to leave, especially when they were there to try to enjoy it, literally 10 feet away. They could have their pet next to the river. They just can't have it in the proper American. I know there's liability issues. I understand there's insurance issues, but Tampa doesn't seem to have a problem with it. Most everywhere else, I've been down to Boise, been down to Julia Davis Park and everything else, nobody else seems to have a problem with it. Kind of one of those issues that when you start seeing people get ejected, people leaving, they're pissed off, that starts radiating through. I'd like to see more people down here. I'd like to see more events. That's kind of a negative. I don't know if there's anything council can do to work with Destination Caldwell to try to fix that or come up with some kind of ordinance for liability protection. But I think it's something that needs to be looked at, because literally inside of an hour and a half, I watched 3 bounce, and more people left because of it.
Yeah, and I don't know, we'll definitely look into it. See, I don't think it's so much a liability, to be honest, more just to be honest, I thought you were gonna complain about the dogs that are there.
No.
Because we get a lot of those complaints.
Well, what's funny is the dogs that were there, nobody was having a problem with. And I understand, because I've worked with, I have 2 German Shepherds and a Dutch Shepherd, so believe me, I work with my issues. Worked with police canines, stuff like that. My wife was in veterinary science, so I totally get that there's gonna be positive and negative on both sides. But to watch them get ejected when they were just there to have a good time, it was a huge negative. And for some reason, we are the only city that does that.
Yeah, so we'll definitely can look into it, kind of do some research on that. I know Corey, I think he's actually upstairs and run that time. But I know he's hiding. There he is on that. So I know he probably hears a lot. I know we get a lot of complaints about dogs on the flat, about them, and I I've seen where there's been confrontations with dogs between each other.
So have I.
And so it's kinda like you said, I think you hit the hammer on the nail, that it's both, you know, if you don't allow dogs, there's gonna be some people that don't come. You do allow dogs, there's gonna be some people that
I'm
don't come
just
for
curious
that,
because
so.
we are one of those cities where you drive around, almost everybody has a dog hanging out their window. And it is just one of those that for some reason, every other city I've been to around here, just, it's like I said, not always seen yet, but nobody else seems to have a problem. I'm just, like I said, I don't know what happened, or if there's a way to maybe look at it, but
Yeah, and we definitely can, and like I said, I think it's important to look at that, and like I said, it's good that Corey's here, I know that we, you know, Destination Caldwell meets, you know, on a regular basis, so Corey can help remind me to make sure to maybe mention that to Regan, just to have that on the agenda, just for discussion. Like I said, I've never heard
just
of
something
yet.
to bring up and see what we
Yeah.
can do, or what they're doing may be different than what we're doing.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm sure we'll do all that, so, we
Thank you
appreciate it,
very
thank you
much.
for bringing that to our attention, we do appreciate it. Yeah, and that's all that we do have signed up for audience participation, so that moves us on to the consent calendar. We do have one amendment, in regards to the consent calendar. Councilors, Doty.
Amendment to the consent calendar, item number 8.
Very good, so we have a motion to amend the consent calendar, removing item number 8 and replacing it under new business as the first item to be discussed is 1A. Do we have a second?
Second.
Very good. Do we have any discussion on that motion? Very good, so motion is from Councilor Doty, second by Councilor Stoddard to amend the agenda as mentioned. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar as amended?
So moved.
Second. Motion from Councilor Stoddard, second from Councilor McGee to approve the consent calendar as amended. And the voting machine is open and ready for your vote. We think. No. Anticipation. Okay, now it is open for your vote, so. Okay, and then all votes are in, so voting is closed. And that motion passes unanimously. So it might be a good time to introduce our new employee over here. So he's in our IT department, so we appreciate him coming and helping run the audio visual for us tonight. So they should be more regular in attendance, we're excited for that, alleviate some of the burden from Brent. You know, we can't blame him for everything that goes wrong. But it's grateful to have you here with us tonight. Thank you for being here. Okay, so that moves us on to old business, which there is none, so it moves into new business and jump right into that item that was removed from consent calendar. So this is our new 1A. So this is approval of resolution accepting the ranking of the request for proposals for development of an area known as the northeast rectangle parcel located in the Caldwell Executive Airport. Mr. Ford, are you gonna present on this, or, oh, sorry, Rob, I didn't see you back there. Very good, so Mr. Oates, if you could enlighten us, we appreciate that very much, and answer questions.
My name is Rob Oates, I'm your airport manager, and with regard to the staff report for this item, the staff report is that we recommend that the resolution be approved.
Very good. So, do you mind just giving me a little background on kind of what the resolution is, kind of the process we went through for the rankings and for this RFP?
This represents the third of 3 RFPs that we have issued for development of parcels at the airport. First was the area with the old farmhouse building where the airport cafe has been located. The second was the triangle-shaped parcel between the Hubler Terminal and Linden Street. And this third one, for tonight's discussion, is on the other side of the Hubler Terminal, basically between the Hubler Terminal and the area down where the airport windsock is, an area that we've informally known as the settlement area at the end of KCID Road. The shape of the parcel is rectangular shaped, hence the name, the northeast rectangle. The triangle and the rectangle parcels represent the new development area for the airport. And Sprintbach Aviation was selected I want to say a month, or maybe it's 2 months ago now, but at least a month ago, as the developer for the triangle portion, and we are in discussion with them on the development plan for the triangle-shaped portion. What they've told us is they're intending to build a large business-sized hangar from which they will operate a charter business out of Caldwell. And it actually is a move of their existing charter business from the other side of the airport to a new, larger facility where they can consolidate from the two hangars out of which they operate now. So the parcel for tonight is a rectangular-shaped parcel. This also went out at the same time as the triangle with a request for proposals. 2 proposals were received by the deadline. Those were reviewed by a review committee, and that review committee, as noted in the staff report, consisted of myself, our airport's contract engineer, the airport commission chair, and 2 other members of the airport commission. They were selected by invitations, what it really boiled down to. And those 3 airport commission members represent 3 of the existing 4 appointed members who are not our council liaison. He was not eligible for this review duty in that he would be deciding or helping decide on the final review here. So 3 of our other 4 airport commission members are on this 5-person review panel. Each person reviewed the documents provided independently and ranked each of the proposals against a set of criteria, which was the exact same criteria published in the actual request for proposal. So here's what we'd like you to give us. They provided their response. We gave it to the review committee and said, measure it against what we asked for. And that review resulted in the 2 firms being ranked, as noted in the resolution. The company called CNC Project Management ranked first, and Tailwinds LLC ranked second. And that is where we stand as of tonight, with them recommended in that order for continuation, or I should say entering into the negotiation process to establish that development agreement with that firm. And per the resolution, if we're unable to reach an agreement with CNC Project Management, then we would follow on to the second, second-ranked proposal from Tailwinds. So that's the long of it.
Very good, thank you so much. Are there any questions from council? Councilor Stein?
Mayor, on the marketing part of it, is the folks that you selected, they're definitely gonna build a larger hangar, is that what I understand?
That is what they proposed, yes.
Is it just one hangar then, or are they gonna build others?
I want to say, Debbie, did we include the actual proposal in the packet with the pictures? I'll tell you what I can do, Councilor Stonick. I have.
The only reason I asked, Mr. Rose, is just because, again, with my prior experience on the commission, on the airport commission, said, one of the goals is that we tried to balance, the larger hangars with the key hangars, to make sure that we had a fairly good balance, and that's one reason I asked.
So what they have proposed is, at the inception anyway, is all large hangars, yes. But they've also couched that in the idea that it's a multi-phase proposal, and that future phases after phase 1 would be market driven. So there certainly is an option to adjust as time goes by. But the early drawings do include all larger hangars. Now, with that said, in our actual airport master plan, we do have smaller hangars, as you've noted, in this development area, yes. But there are also smaller hangars proposed for across Linden, for when we eventually close that section of Linden and continue our hangar development, down the Smead Parkway extension. So, if we end up with demand for lots of bigger hangars, then we still can build more smaller hangars. So that is certainly not, the door's not closed on that opportunity.
So I understand it though, that they're just gonna build one large hangar and then see what the market does with the rest of it?
If I may, can I do a little Vanna White sort of?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. What I'll do is I will walk to you. I have only one copy of this picture, but I'll show you this picture, and it shows the series of buildings. Here's the Hubler terminal on the what would be your right, and then these are the buildings they're proposing.
So it looks like there's about 7 different buildings. Does that sound accurate? Mrs. Adams would be so proud of me. I can count that high as a Caldwell High graduate, so. Now, if I valued you, it'd be really tough.
Those are all large hangars,
Gotta take my shoes off once I get past 10.
so there's no balance between the D hangars and the general. That's what I was concerned about, Mr. Rhodes, is the balance between the large hangars and the D hangars.
Well, and I believe that can be addressed in those future, and we can include information like that in our development plan with them, so that there can be an evaluation as we reach those milestones for the end of a first phase and on into a second phase. And as I mentioned, the developer has definitely indicated that will be demand driven, so they will certainly not be building these big hangars if there's not a demand for it. They have indicated that they do have demand for the initial phase of, I think it's the first 2 or the 3 buildings, I believe.
Have customers for them already?
They don't have it sold out, but they do have customers for at least enough of those to indicate that this is an appropriate direction to go from a business perspective. Yeah.
Okay, and if I remember correctly, again, it's been a while, but, you know, there was a, survey, I think it was called, about what the stakeholders would prefer. I think it's been, a year and a half ago when that survey, and I think it was less than, 6 or 7% preferred the larger hangars, and the majority of the folks wanted the T hangars, if I'm not mistaken. But you might look that up, that's just my past memory.
I don't have that information at hand, but you're probably in the ballpark, yes, what you recollect.
So I just wanna make sure that you understand this, that after they build that first hangar, we still have the opportunity to look at the markets and determine whether we want more of those or G hangars or whatever.
Yeah, my plan is to work with, Doug. Doug Waterman is helping us with the development of the business plan document itself, and we'll build in those milestones so we can have that discussion, at those points, yes.
Okay, as long as wording is in there, I don't have any problem with it.
Certainly.
Councilman McGee, just a process question, probably for Mr. Rhodes. I believe this, looking at it again right now, looks like we had 5 members of the committee. We did a ranking score system based on, what I can tell you, 7 categories. It, just outsider looking in, I wasn't part of this process, obviously, but the one proposal scored significantly higher than the other proposal. So, I mean, I guess what I'm just asking, it sounds like you, Mr. Rhodes, and the airport commission has followed the process. Am I missing something?
I don't believe so. No, you're correct. The challenge that we faced in reviewing the proposals is the proposal I walked around to you, was a proposal for the whole parcel, ultimately over several phases. The other proposal was one for the small hangars. Councilor Stoddard noted, that's certainly true. But it was only a proposal for a portion of the parcel. And that's what somewhat threw our, review team a bit. Hence the reason for the follow-up questions that were noted, in the staff report or the memo. We asked those questions to get a better understanding of where the developers, both teams, were coming from with regard to especially their plan for asphalt. Because in a situation like this, the asphalt is very important, and we are quickly transitioning everything that happens at the airport to what I think would be more familiarly noted as a subdivision sort of model, where we ask the developer, we say, okay, here's a parcel of land, what is your plan? And they come back with that plan for water, sewer, curb gutter sidewalk, streets, lights, all of that ultimately is dedicated to the city, and then in return, they build the houses, clubhouse, ponds, swimming pools, whatnot. We're doing a version of that as we move forward with the airport, where we're asking the developer, what is your plan for getting those utilities extended into your development area? All the utilities, water, sewer, gas, electric. And then what do you propose to do for asphalt that will fit into the overall plan for the airport? Because we, as you all well know, we are not flush with money to go producing a lot of additional asphalt at the airport. So that is our model that we have shifted to. The first project that's being developed under that model is actually in process right now. In fact, I didn't drive by there today, but they may well have put their asphalt down today. The project was in process on the Houston end of the airport, where the development team is extending its taxiway segment, and they will then build on both sides of it. So, and they are providing all of that, the underground utilities, the development of that taxi lane, and then they will move forward into producing hangars. So, a number of more, they're not small hangars, Councilor Static, they're kind of what you call mid-size, or some of them larger, but those are based on demand, based on what the developer actually has orders in hand for. So those are going in down on that Houston end, and that's pretty exciting. That's a considerable size project, and it is moving forward. So it's great news. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm drifting a little bit, Mayor.
Yeah, any other questions? Yeah.
Just a comment. Councilor McGee mentioned the grading system there. What I would encourage you to do is, I don't know what A, B, C, D, E stood for, those percentages behind, but, because somebody dressed real nice when you came to your office, or was it something else? So, I'm not being sarcastic, but I would encourage you folks, when you put something down like that, for the back of the group we have on the computer, that you tell us exactly what those categories are. That would help, that would be helpful.
I apologize for that oversight, and with your indulgence, Mayor, I can tell you quickly what those are, just to give you, and Councilor McGee, a broad sense of that. Item A was project overview and general descriptive narrative consistent with the RFP published. B, reasonable timeline proposed. C, site preparation, infrastructure construction plan. D was proposed construction, hangars consistent with RFP. E, proposed construction, and this was important, asphalt to support safe operations for both airside and landside. F was planned operations, FBO or storage consistent with RFP. And G was quality of projects previously undertaken. So a pretty broad brush, but those are the items that were in the RFP, and I apologize for the oversight in not including those in the packet.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah.
So some of the concern is because of the large hangars that we're ensuring that they be used as required by the FAA and the city, what are we going to ensure that these hangars and others that are already out there can be used appropriately? Not just taking up a large hangar park in the airplane and using it for things that's not up to the problem.
The hangars that we have, we are working to police that exact point. And you're correct, there is a possibility that people can drift in that direction. As I think I told you at some other encounter, we chatted one-on-one, most people who build or purchase a hangar at our airport, they go into that action with the best of intentions. they're going to use it for their aircraft, or their aeronautical business, or what have you. And sometimes life gets in the way of that, or shifts priorities. Now, to the direct answer to your question is, it's been a year and a half ago now, we did institute a hangar inspection program, where between my assistant Lisa Austin and myself, we visited every single hangar on campus to verify aeronautical use. And in some cases, we did find situations like you're describing. And when we did, we moved into a mitigation mode, working with that hangar owner to try to resolve that, and to get that hangar back on the straight and narrow, for lack of a better phrasing. Some hangars we found were used just simply for storage, because it's handy, and it's the subsidized, the aeronautical price is much less than the mini storage. Some were structural. Sometimes sadly a family had split, and the partner who had the hangar didn't get the house, and so belongings ended up in the hangar. And again, we worked to resolve that. And the main methodology that we did use to fix that was by encouraging these people who were, for the moment, not appropriately using their hangar. We maintain a referral list of people who are interested in renting hangar space, and we do that at our office. So when anyone in the hangar arena is inappropriately using their hangar, we will encourage them to consult our renter list, and we actually can provide, we do, Lisa is amazing at that, at providing referrals to people and linking up hangars with renters. And so through that method, we've helped people get back on the right path to appropriate use. So there's several steps in that process, and we're hopefully attacking it from different directions. It's much sooner than that, yes. Yeah, a hangar, in our initial go-round, either got basically a green check mark, or it was yellow or red. And the red ones were ones that were just out of compliance. There was just no way that they were within the rules. And so they received much more intense interest. And we circled back, most of them within 60 days. We gave that deadline, and we circled back to verify that they were in compliance. And I want to say, I haven't looked at the report in the last week or two, but I want to say that we reached every single hangar being in compliance. Now, when we go back, because we're beginning our next go-round, because the weather's nicer, hangar doors are open. When Lisa and I are out just doing our rounds around the airport, we just stop at open hangar doors and just say, hello, oh, you have such and such an N number, check you off, you're good to go. So that the process is very, very straightforward from both our side as well as from a hangar owner's perspective. And in that method, the first go round, we went well over half the hangars inspected by just simply driving, during our routine course of business, being on the airfield. So yes, I'm sorry I'm rambling, but I'm trying to give you a more complete answer. But yes, we do put the emphasis on hangars that are out of compliance. Absolutely.
Any other questions?
Sure.
Yes.
First of all, thank you, Mr. Rhodes, for that good presentation on the RFP. It was very helpful. But I think the important thing for us to remember is this is market driven, which should be key to this council that has been so concerned about lease rates and leases and revenues from that airport. When we say market driven, that means this developer isn't going to waste his money building something that isn't going to be occupied, only a pool. However, my point is this: the sooner we get something occupied, the sooner we're going to have the new lease rates with new occupants leasing at those rates. And so if that's what the market's demanding, why would we want anybody to build something that the market isn't demanding? We wouldn't get those revenues or those lease rates that we've insisted on. So
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilor Elton.
Okay, Mr. Elton, so just so I understand the process, the company that was successful in getting a proposal done, how long of time do they have to control that piece of property to get there? Is there a timeline that has to be done? I mean, can they sit on that for 10 years? What is the length of time?
You're just inviting me to be a smart aleck, and
Sorry.
I'm afraid, but no, the 10 years is probably on the outside, yes. As Councilor Williams noted, there's a sense of urgency because the developers, when we produce these RFPs, they look at them, evaluate them, they go find potential buyers, potential financial backers, they line all of that up, and it's a let's go mode. So there's incentive on their side to get going, much like Councilor Williams noted, we have incentive too, to move forward quickly, or promptly is better. So the precise answer to your question is that's developed during the setting up of the development agreement. The development agreement is essentially putting the parcel into a buildable mode. And so the development agreement includes broadly the infrastructure utilities, the sewer, water, gas, electric, asphalt. Then they move into actually constructing the hangars. So we will include that plan time-wise for the infrastructure development in the development plan. That'll be negotiated between the developer and our team, which includes Brent, myself, Doug Water.
Yeah, I sort of respect that. Things happen, the economy changes, whatever.
Sure.
But like an end date, so
Yes,
if things
absolutely.
change, they're not controlling this piece of property.
No, I agree, and the development agreement typically does include that, and that's a part of that phasing plan too. You know, that you have so much time to get this done, and when we reach this marker in the process, then we'll look again at what's the next bundle of work to do.
Perfect, thank you so much. Any other questions? Okay, very good, thank you so much, appreciate that.
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have any motions in regards to this resolution?
Mayor,
Councilor Williams.
I move that we approve the resolution accompanying the request for proposal as presented by staff.
Is there a second? So a motion, Councilor Williams, and a second, Councilor Doty, for approval of the resolution accepting the rankings for the RFP, as presented. Discussion on that motion?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Just as long as everybody understands that wording is gonna be in that resolution also. I understand that, correct?
And that's regarding the sizing, is that correct?
Yeah.
On that, as well as the timing needs to be in there too, and I agree
Yeah.
more of an aggressive approach would be better than not.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, then the voting is open. And all votes are cast, voting is closed. And that motion passes unanimously. That moves us on to new business, action item number 1, this is for an ordinance amendment, proposal from the planning and zoning department. So, Ms. Collins, I will turn the time over to you for your presentation.
While they're getting that ready, good evening, Mayor and Council. Robin Collins, P&Z Director, 621 Cleveland Boulevard. I am here tonight to present to you some proposed ordinance text amendments that affect Chapter 10, Chapter 6, and Chapter 11 within our code. They're pretty minor ordinance amendments, so hopefully this shouldn't take too long to go through these. Just a little bit about format. As we read through them, anything where you see text with strike-throughs, that is the deletion of the text from the code. Any underlined text is either the addition of new text or reformatted text. 3 dots indicate that there may be existing code text before or after where the amendments are being proposed. and that text will remain unchanged. And you can follow along with the presentation, or you can refer to pages 14 through 16 of the provided staff report. So the first amendment before you tonight is to amend Chapter 10, Article 2, 10-0213. This is for temporary use merchants, transient merchants, mobile food units, and special events. The only amendment to this is to delete that very first, those first 4 words where it says during special plaza events. This just basically removes the restriction, for triggering the authority of the plaza operator. It allows them to have that authority during anything that's happening down there along the plaza, so that they can control vendors or those merchants at any time other than just a special event. So that's a pretty simple amendment. To go along with that one, the next amendment is to amend Chapter 6, Article 5, Section 060508. This is for the restriction also for triggering the authority of the plaza operator. So same thing, we're just asking to delete the words during special plaza events. And this will allow peddlers to operate within a parade route, so long as a prior license has been obtained. The next proposed amendment is a little bit longer, so I'm going to break it down as we go through this. This is to Chapter 11, which is our subdivision ordinance, Article 2, Section 110202. What you have on the screen is the current language. I felt it was probably important to show you the current language of what we're working under right now. So basically, in the subdivision ordinance, if somebody submits a preliminary plat and they get an approved subdivision name, the code doesn't provide any mechanism for them to change that subdivision name once it's been approved. This code also says that once you have recorded your final plat, you absolutely, under no circumstances, can change the name. And you can't market or advertise as anything other than what was approved. And that means even in just flyers or online marketing. And then it goes to say that if you're in violation, you can be subject to citation process. After discussion with staff, we felt like it does happen, not a lot, where somebody wants to change their subdivision name, but it does happen. We get, especially when you maybe have a development where they came in, got an approved subdivision name, they don't develop it, they sell it, now the new developer wants to change the name. It became really where we just needed a process to allow us to do that, the ability to track it in our system, and just some code language to allow us to do that. So as we move through this paragraph, I'll take a little at a time where I've highlighted in white. So the first part of this is to address that preliminary plat, where it basically says that once you get an approved subdivision name at the preliminary plat stage, you can't change it unless you file a subdivision name change request and go through an administrative staff level review and approval. And then once you do that, we will expect you to submit a revised preliminary plat prior to approval of your construction drawings. The next portion is like the preliminary plat. This is for the final plat. So it basically says that you still can't change your recorded plat name unless, again, I'm sorry, I'm not on that section yet. Let me back up. This is for the advertising, for the marketing and advertising portion. So what we've done is clarified that we really only care about advertising the subdivision name for any permanent or temporary signage that's physically located on or near the location of the subdivision. We don't really care about how they advertise online or flyers or whatever. We want to make sure that for life safety reasons, that physical signage or their deeds or any legal documents do carry that approved subdivision name. So we really just reworded this a little bit to add the word physically, kind of delete out that marketing and advertising materials, and then we did add to make sure that it's on all the deeds and legal documents, so that when they sell property, it's correct. The next section right here, this is for the final plat. So this basically says that once you have that name, it has to continue through every phase of the subdivision. you request, again, through the filing of an application, this application will not have any fee associated with it. It is simply just so that we can track it through our system and that we can have something to refer back to the old subdivision name. Again, this is done through an administrative staff level. Once it's approved, we'll just ask that they get us a copy of an amended final plat drawing and re-record the new plat with the county with the new name. The last portion of this is completely new that we're adding. What we've seen on subdivisions, now that we're getting a lot more mixed-use subdivisions, is in our code, it tells you that that subdivision name has to follow the whole subdivision. Even on those commercial lots or multifamily lots. So that poses a challenge for developers that want to come in and they want to name their commercial project something different than the subdivision, or they want to name their apartment something different. So we're putting some language in there to allow for a variation in that subdivision name, but basically still making them carry the parent name. And I'll show you a couple of examples in just a second. The next part of that is the sequencing portion. So our current code requires in a phased subdivision that you have to follow your phasing. So you can't start phase 2 until phase 1 is completed. That also poses a challenge to commercial development or multifamily apartments because obviously as the market demands, they need to be able to respond to that quicker. So what we're saying in this amendment is that they don't have to follow the phasing. So they could just mark their commercial lots as a commercial phase. And they don't have to follow the sequencing of 1, 2, 3, 4 throughout the subdivision. However, it will not impact any improvements that they're still gonna be required to do in phase 1. So say they have residential on one half of the frontage and a commercial lot, and they don't wanna develop that commercial lot yet, we're still gonna condition that they do all the landscaping and the sidewalks as part of phase 1 along the frontage. So that won't impact that at all. So just a couple of examples. The first one, you have a subdivision, the name was given Hidden View Estate Subdivision. So the subdivision would carry that name. The commercial parcel could have signage and be known as, say, Hidden View Marketplace. The apartment parcel could have signage and be known as Hidden View Apartments. Where in the past we would say, no, you have to use Hidden View Estate Subdivision dash apartments. And didn't quite make sense for some of those developments, so we're allowing them to just kind of vary from that name a little bit. Again, the phase sequencing, the residential portion of the subdivision would still have to be constructed in accordance with the phasing plan. The commercial parcel or multifamily commercial parcel could be developed at any time, thus allowing developers to really respond to the commercial real estate market demands. Public hearing notifications, we did notify all public agencies. We also published this, a legal ad in the newspaper. We received no agency comments, no public comments on the amendments that are before you tonight. Staff performed an analysis, found that the proposed text amendments are in compliance with the adopted comp plan. The ordinance amendments comply with the Caldwell City Code, section 100303 for amendments, and they've met all other approval criteria. So based upon staff's analysis, we are recommending approval of case number OA-2301, subject to the conditions as presented in the order. And then just to let you know, this did go before the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they did recommend approval of this item. At the time they approved it, there was another code amendment that was part of this. It was to do some revisions to the land use schedule. After further discussion, staff has decided to pull that item out of this. We'd like to do some further research and analysis before we bring that amendment before council for consideration. So we will probably bring something back to you at a later date, but we'll go back through the re-advertising process to do that. So I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you so much. I'll just touch briefly on kind of the first part, a little bit of background, and any questions from council. So this is in regards to the temporary vendor license. So we appreciate, Mr. Rob Pilot actually brought this up to our attention. So the reason for that was, you don't get, for example, the or the Christmas light parade, that goes through, Caldwell on the boulevard. So this was, you don't get, dozens of vendors popping up that night. Really, it can be a safety issue if you get so many vendors out there. But it was so restrictive that even the ones that were there to be allowed, temporary vendors, were not allowed to be open that night. So there was, Gauchos, I think, is the name of the one, that's right there on the boulevard. So they literally, what could have been one of their busiest nights of the year, had to close and could not serve their food that night. So this allows them, if they are an approved temporary merchant, food truck out there, they can be open on those nights, which is good, so it helps their business. Obviously those ebbs and flows, those businesses do, so we wanna give them that opportunity. So that's kind of what stems from that, just to make sure that if you're an allowed use already out there, you should be able to be open on those nights and provide service for the people and make some money for yourself. So that's kind of what started that, regards to a little background on that. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. Questions, Councilman, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, appreciate that explanation. I have no issue with policy change here. I do have a quick question to the city attorney. Sort of my own understanding. So, as Robin pointed out, you look at the italics on the agenda, the section about Planning and Zoning Commission originally included to approve the proposed amendments to Chapter 10, et cetera. Since then, staff has removed this item from the proposed amendments being presented to City Council. I'm just asking procedurally, help me understand, if the Planning and Zoning Commission makes a recommendation to City Council of all of those amendments, then staff can go and remove some of those amendments for consideration by the City Council in between that process? Just help me, I may be missing this too, so help me understand that.
Councilor McGee and Councilor Mayor, so yes, you're correct with that understanding. What can happen is you present all of these different amendments, especially within Chapter 10, that needs to obviously go before you all as a public hearing. If the staff isn't prepared to present those certain amendments quite yet, you'll still have those recommendations from the commission that can be presented once those are kind of brought forward, but you can do them in pieces, such as what happens tonight. I hope that clarifies.
Okay, it actually does. So, I guess what I'm trying to avoid is a situation where staff would say, well, we really didn't like that, so we're gonna pull that out. But if those amendments do eventually come before the City Council regardless, then that makes sense. And if it's because there needs to be more time or something like that, that makes sense. But I think hopefully they understand the scenario that we would be trying to avoid as policymakers, right, that the staff would then come in and make a change.
Councilor McGee, if I'm following you, you're kind of asking about whether or not hypothetically, there could be a situation where they're circumventing certain decisions.
That's exactly, and I'm not saying that that has happened in this case. I'm just noting the fact that it's a little bit unusual with my background to see after a body, a sworn-in body has made a decision, the staff can take that back out. But if your contention is they can take it out as long as they bring it before the City Council, at some point that does make sense.
So because it's in the part of the city code that it's in, it would need to go before P&Z Commission and then before you all. So that would not then again be removed and go back in front of the P&Z Commission. They would take those recommendations that have already been established, regardless whether or not they hypothetically agree with them, and they would be then presented in front of you.
I think we're on the same page. I just don't want to point that out so all of us understand it.
Thank you. Yes.
If you don't mind me just adding a comment too, I would say the portion that was removed from this, that was an act of transparency and appropriateness on the part of the staff here because it was based on feedback that was received from the Airport Commission. They had some concerns about the portion of the code, and so the director kindly thought to have that suspended temporarily in order to get them the information they asked for. So,
yeah, and that thanks, Brent, thanks for that thorough explanation, City Attorney, as well. I'm not questioning what happened in this particular case. I just am trying to protect the City Council's ability to hear things from planning and zoning if they move forward. But it sounds like that this is done appropriately and that we will eventually hear that. So thank you all of you for the explanation.
Thank you so much, Councilor. Any other questions? good, thank you so much. So there's nobody signed up to testify on this item, so with that, I would, and for, do we need to close public testimony for any legislative? Yay, nay?
It is a public hearing.
Okay, that is correct. So I would, need a motion to close the public testimony portion of this hearing. So we have a motion from Counselor Ogden, a second from Counselor, Doty, to close the public testimony portion of this hearing. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. So that moves us into discussion and any motions. So any discussions or questions for staff or any motions regarding this ordinance and bill, which I will read very quickly by title. An ordinance enacted by the Caldwell City Council amending Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 10 to 13, Caldwell City Code pertaining to the authority of the plaza operator during special events, amending Chapter 6, Article 5, Section 658, Caldwell City Code pertaining to the location, restrictions, and door-to-door salesman, amending Chapter 11, Article 2, Section 1122, Caldwell City Code pertaining to the approved name of subdivisions on plat, providing for an effective date, providing for severability, and repealing all ordinances, resolutions, orders, and person wherever conflict occurs. Do you have any motions for passage of this bill or ordinance? Counselor Ogden.
Pass orders number 3496, and first reading.
Motion from Counselor Ogden, second from Counselor McGee, for passage of ordinance number 3496, by title only on this first reading. Is there any discussion on that motion? Okay, sounds like we're good. Got the voting open, and all votes but one have been cast. All votes are cast, so that would close the voting, and that motion passes unanimously. Good, so that covers 1 and 2, correct? Okay. Very good, so, before we get to item number 3, really quick, before we miss it, we do leave before we end, want to recognize, Mrs. Adams, who's here with us tonight, some of her wonderful students from Caldwell High School. Even though they're forced to be here, we're still grateful to have you here and glad that you're here with us tonight. I guess we could probably all say that too up here on the stairs, so it's not a bad thing to be forced to be here, but, especially want to recognize Mrs. Adams. This is gonna be the last time she is here with us in this capacity. She is retiring after many years of dedicated service at Caldwell High, teaching these wonderful students and creating a love and energy within them about their local government, even though they may not be showing it right now. I know that they do. But she has been just a tremendous asset for the Caldwell School District, for the city of Caldwell, and want to just recognize her and her years of service. And she's a dear friend, and I appreciate the opportunity to get to know her over the years. So thank you, Mrs. Adams, for all that you've done. Thank you to your students for being here, and we wish you nothing but the best in retirement. So 20-some days to go. 24, so nobody's counting, so, that's right, so, you are awesome, and one of a kind, so thank you so much, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. And yeah, I think, your daughters have her, correct, is that right?
2 of my kids have had her. We actually were having a discussion about this right before, so. Yeah, so it's been pretty awesome to watch. I was telling her how I grew up and went to a high school that was similar in size, and I remember those teachers that really made an impact, and she did that for my kids, but also for me as a parent. Like, that when your second one has her, kind of how it's gonna go. So that was really cool. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing that too. Okay, so we are on to action item number 3, consider bill number 19, ordinance 3503 for a partial vacation of a city water easement located at 1508 Hope Lane, with request to move this passage by title only. So we'll do just a really brief overview.
Yeah, I'd just like to give a little history and background on this.
You're all good, but you have a word with you when we're done, if you do that.
There is a water easement, and someone desires to build a patio cover. They have a pretty small backyard. We have researched it, and we can do what we need to in terms of taking care of that water main and accommodate the request to vacate a portion of it.
so they'll be able to build their patio cover, and we'll still be able to take care of the water line. So if the council sees fit, we believe it's appropriate to vacate this easement. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So this is an ordinance reciting petition for 6-foot partial vacation of a city water easement specifically granted to the city for placement of a water meter. Determining that partial vacation of said easement in the city of Caldwell, County, Idaho, described below shall be made, and determining that partial vacation of said easement is in the best public interest for the city of Caldwell, County, Idaho. We have a motion for the passage of this bill by ordinance by title only on its first reading. A second?
Second.
We have a motion from Council Brody and a second from Council Register for passage of bill number 19, ordinance number 3503. Any discussion on that motion? The voting is open. All votes are cast, the voting is closed, and that motion passes unanimously. That moves us on to action item number 4, consider a resolution authorizing the use of ARPA funds by the Caldwell Fire Department for the purchase of a fire response squad in the amount of $277,145. Chief Frawley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Rick Frawley, Fire Chief, 403 Blaine Street. Tonight, I come to council, with hopefully some great news and a proposal for your consideration. Working with our partners and, working with our partners in the finance department, has been, an outstanding pleasure in terms of, how we can build for the future and plan for our future needs in the organization. And working with Raylan has been great in terms of identifying priorities within the organization. One of these priorities, or two of them, are in front of you tonight for your consideration. The first one being a new response squad for the cost of $277,145, which is a resource that we are asking the council to consider and transfer ARPA funds to bolster our existing fleet. It is a squad that has multiple purposes and multiple functions, built on a Ford F-550 chassis with fire pumping capability and rescue capability. It will be delivered, if approved, in September of next year. This will add and supplement to our existing fleet and also supplement our partnership with the rural district for not just wildland response, but also for response to medical emergencies. One of the challenges that we're facing in the community that is evident to everybody, I think, is our increasing call volume, but also the distances between calls. And what this resource will allow us to do is have a 2-person company respond to lower acuity emergencies, medical emergencies primarily, in lieu of the fire engine or the brand new fire truck. If I can send a Ford F-550 that is considerably cheaper and has a longer life expectancy than my fire truck to those types of calls, that will prolong the lifespan of that fire truck. Additionally, this gives us more flexibility for resource allocation, and as we build our plan for the future, we look at collaboration, say for the Canyon County Fair or the rodeo, this would be a resource that we would have on scene for those events, while allowing our fire engines to stay available for response in the rest of the city. And I stand for questions.
Very good, thank you so much. Chief Frawley, any questions?
Mayor. Chief, where would you park this thing? Do you have room?
Well, that is a challenge. In fact, we actually, thanks to Chief Shoup, and I just want to recognize Chief Shoup for a second here. Chief Shoup is our Deputy Chief of Operations. He's also working on a lot of restructuring of our facilities. So we actually have a contractor starting next week at Station 2 to take one of the front rooms of Station 2 and convert that into dorm space so that we can actually have at Station 2 ability to have a squad placed there. We'll also have the ability to have a squad placed at Station 3, depending upon our staffing capacity. And then we're also working with the rural district to have the ability to have the squad in a surge capacity placed out there, depending upon call volume. So to answer your question, sir, Station 2 is probably going to be where we place this resource. Station 2, that engine company is the busiest in the city. It also has the most mileage on its engine. So we're in the process of rotating fire engines around so that we can get this lower mileage engine, that physical piece of equipment out to Station 2 to balance out all the mileage. But this squad will also help because that would be a resource that responds to medical calls.
Thank you.
Ron.
Any other questions? Yes, Councilor Alden.
I think you answered my question, Chief. We're adding to it, but we're not replacing.
We're adding, but this will be replacing the existing squad. We have a squad that's in place right now. It's a wildland squad. It's here at Station 1. It's it's really reached the end of its service life, but we wanna keep it as a reserve and as a utility vehicle. Part of the bigger picture plan, with the rural district has a squad that we also wanna utilize, and they've been good partners with us. Their squad that they just acquired, that's open to our utilization because we wear two hats, is more of a, has more of a street response capability. Doesn't have the off-road capability that this particular vehicle would have. So, short answer is, it's going to be replacing a unit that's gonna go into reserve, because I wanna keep that reserve unit in the back pocket, if you will, for at least a couple of years. No, thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Chief Raleigh. Don't go too far, because I know you're up next again, so we do need to speak for a minute. Very good. So we do have, this resolution for council. Is there any motions or any discussions regarding this resolution? Mr. Mayor. Councilor Doty.
Consider resolution authorizing the use of ARPA funds to purchase fire response
Is there a second? Motion from Councilor Doty, second from Councilor Snotek for approval of this resolution as noted. Any discussion? Okay, voting is open. All votes are cast, so voting is closed, and that motion passes unanimously. Okay, Chief Raleigh, resolution authorizing the use of ARPA funds by the Caldwell Fire Department for purchase of a new self-contained breathing apparatus units and air bottles in the amount of $562,655.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Rick Frawley, Fire Chief, 43 Plain Street. Again, standing here before you with a request to utilize ARPA funds for the purchase of, replacement of self-contained breathing apparatus. We currently have self-contained breathing apparatus known as SCBAs on all of our fire apparatus, and we use a vendor by the name of Scott, which is the same vendor that is utilized, same manufacturer that is utilized throughout the valley. This replacement will bring our self-contained breathing apparatus up to the latest standard, which means we have compatibility with all of our neighboring agencies. It also increases the number of units we have, so that we're not moving units around as we place additional units in service. It also gives additional spare, bottles that we use for rotating those bottles around. It will actually help us in terms of maintenance, because we're starting to see maintenance issues with our current existing equipment. This will, help set a standard for us for the next 10 years. On a personal note, the thing that I really like about this, and again, working with our partners in finance, it really helps to set the standards of what our priorities are organizationally. Aside from emergency response, right next to emergency response is the safety of our personnel, and providing the highest level of safety for our personnel is my highest priority. And so I stand for questions.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Chief Raleigh? Okay, very good. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, with that, is there any discussion or any motions regarding the approval of this resolution?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Register.
I move that we consider resolution authorizing the use of ARPA funds by the Caldwell Fire Department for the purchase of new self-contained breathing apparatus units and air bottles in the amount of $562,655.
Good, do we have a second? Motion from Councilor Register and a second from Councilor Doty for approval of this resolution authorizing the use of ARPA funds as described. Any discussion?
Sorry, I'm on the map, if you don't mind. And this would ask the chief a question.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
With this new equipment, chief, are we purchasing new apparatus to refill those bottles, or what we have, does that work with it?
We should be good in terms of refilling. There will be some slight changes in terms of how the equipment is, deployed separate from refilling, so no need for refill at this point. Thank you.
Very good. No, you're fine. So, voting is open. All votes are cast, voting is closed, and that motion passes unanimously as well. That moves us into action item, consider acceptance of the finance report. Councilor Williams, it's you. Thank you again, Mrs. Adams. You have a wonderful evening, and thank you to your students for being here with us, nearly to the bitter end, so.
Alright, Mr. Mayor, I'm ready for you.
Go for it.
I move the
accounts payable in the amount of $3,116,653.24, represented by check numbers 169-182 through 169-557, and payroll in the amount of $611,077.78, represented by check numbers 38506 through 38581, and direct deposits of accepted payments approved and vouchers filed in the office of the city clerk.
Very good, so we have a motion for consider the acceptance of finance, consider acceptance of the finance report, so we have a second.
Second.
Motion from Council Williams, second from Council Register, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. That moves us to council reports. Council Register.
Quickly, I went to a committee meeting for the youth master plan, last week, and I thought it was very interesting that, just all the kind of stuff that they were talking about, and during that meeting, they were talking about some things going on in the schools. And one of the things that we sort of identified as the biggest issue is just the collaboration between, everybody. It's kind of like everybody wants to do something, but they're all over the place, so, this has really helped with that, and I just wanted to kind of put a bug in your ear about, how the city could get involved and help and maybe utilize some resources from the police department with some of the gang issues or education, that kind of thing. So I have told them all to email us and, you know, kind of see what they need, but I think, yeah, that was kind of a little gist of it. But I know we don't really have anything to do or control the schools, but it was very interesting about all the ideas and just now trying to kind of bring it all together. So I think if we can do anything to help, that would be really beneficial.
Very good, thank you so much for attending that, really appreciate it. Councilor Stoddick.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I've got an upcoming meeting with the new CEO of Valley Rapid Transit, Elaine Clegg, speaking of her, she's a former, city council person in Boise. Anyway, she's gonna interview myself, and I think she's gonna try and contact the rest of the councilors too, to see what they think about rapid transit. About a year and a half ago, with my responsibilities on the concerned citizens of Canyon County, we did an analysis of rapid transit, comparing, rail and busing, for, I think it was Seattle, Portland, and Salt Lake City, and of course, all of them ran at an enormous deficit to the taxpayers, except for the busing down at Salt Lake City, and then we have a lot of students down there, that's the reason it was a little bit closer. So, I just wanna make sure that you folks know about that report. I'm gonna present that to her when we meet here within a week, and just show her. I would just caution you that there's a lot of support for rapid transit in this, valley, and who's gonna pay for it. And like I say, with the exercise that we went through in this other committee, it's a high cost item, so just be careful.
Thank you so much. Councilor Doty.
And Officer of the Year, so we can give him a round of applause.
Yeah, thank you so much for highlighting that. Very good, Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a note about retiring, K-9 Miller, that may present an opportunity for us to purchase another K-9, and we kind of need to keep our eyes on that as well. However, there's, some stuff cooking that might involve some, private, help with that as well. So, anybody present or listening online would be interested in talking to, the chief about how to help with the K-9 program, that'd be very welcome.
I'll donate my dog.
I'm gonna come there.
If my kids are watching at home. Maybe finding the right dog. So, my kids might be unhappy with me if they know I opted that, but too many dead spots in my lawn. Councilor Allgood.
Well, probably not as sexy as the recently retired Miller. Remember Lieutenant Winfield retiring, his get-together is the 17th year, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so, a lot of it, place where, only when we both had hair and we were both skinny. But anyway, yeah, 17th at 3 p.m. here at Boston.
Thank you for mentioning that. Councilor
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On that dog selection, as long as we don't have a ranked system like we did for the Air Force, I'm gonna put forth my Yorkie as one of the possibilities. No, that's it, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Very good, thank you so much. So, yeah, I'll just, quick comment about tonight, really appreciated being able to recognize our fire department, police department. It's exciting where we're at, we really are the destination now, rather than being the destination to lead from, so it's exciting to change. Just, commend, our leaders and the officers and the firefighters that lead us and guide us there, so it was a wonderful, fun opportunity to highlight them tonight, so appreciate y'all for letting us do that, so. And that is all.